You really do have to be quite careful what you post on social media, else you might be sued for defamation. I see lots of videos on social media these days making bold statements as though they are fact, which could, in theory, result in the company suing them for defamation. For example, there was this clip I just found on TikTok as follows.
KFC are giving out £100 fines just for eating in their restaurant this Christmas.
Now, the simple fact of the matter is KFC is not issuing fines just for eating in the restaurant, as that video suggests, for two reasons. One, KFC is not issuing a fine at all because it has no jurisdiction to issue a fine, and they would never purport to be issuing a fine. What they will be doing is issuing a parking charge notice for breach of the terms for parking in their car park. For example, many of them have a 1-hour stay requirement, which this video goes on to explain. I've credited the creator of that video in the description below, so you can go and watch the full video in full if you wish. But the 1-hour parking restriction that applies to that car park, oftentimes this is enforced because many people will try to use that car park for several hours doing shopping all over the place. So what might transpire to be the case is that whoever receives one of these parking charge notices are eating in the restaurant, the KFC or wherever it might be, and then going on to do the shopping somewhere else, which takes them 2 or 3 hours. Now, that's beyond the terms of parking that's permitted at this restaurant. So it would be entirely wrong to say that KFC is issuing a fine for parking in the restaurant for those two reasons. One, it's not a fine, and two, it's not for eating in the restaurant. It's because they've overstayed the terms of parking. Now, if this case went to court, there is an argument, I concede, that 1 hour might not be reasonable, might not be sufficient for someone to go into the restaurant and eat the food. This video goes on to explain that the service is notoriously slow and there is very often not enough staff in the restaurant to serve the customers in a speedy fashion. However, if the CCTV were to capture these people eating in the restaurant, leaving and then walking off somewhere else, that argument is obviously going to fall down in court. Even if it were not the specific couple who were complaining or being sued for the breach of parking restrictions and issued with a parking charge notice, let's say the CCTV footage was capturing a representative number of people coming into and out of that restaurant eating within 1 hour, then the restaurant is quite likely, in my view, going to argue that 1 hour is reasonable for someone to park up, go in, order food, sit down, eat, and get out of there. So if someone is arguing that it's not a reasonable time frame because they've taken 3 hours or 4 hours before they leave, because the ANPR system has obviously caught them leaving the car park to issue them the parking charge notice in the first place, I would suggest that if they have left the car park 2 or 3 hours later, then the restaurant is going to have quite an easy job of arguing that they left well beyond the 1 hour reasonable time frame. But as I said, making a statement like that as bold fact risks defamation. Now, while this account has a modest 874 followers, it's the Good Food Topic channel on TikTok, so I'm not slating the channel by all means. Actually, the channel looks pretty good and there's some really good content on there, so I would suggest you actually go and check that out. But really, I'm making this video as a bit of a warning to channels like this, if you're trying to get ahead and make content, that whatever you post on social media is factually accurate. You might remember that I did a video some time ago about a restaurant because we had a terrible experience there. First of all, they told us that my child could eat his burger at the restaurant without any problem at all, but then when we sat down for about 10 or 15 minutes, they then told us that he couldn't eat it there, which obviously wasted everybody's time and we had to go elsewhere. But when I recounted that story here on YouTube, I got a lot of support and I got some criticism, in fact. But what I did do in the video was tell the story factually, accurately, precisely as it happened, and I'd be prepared to swear that in court if necessary. But in certain cases such as this, if it is factually wrong, even if that's a mistake, if it is a statement of fact which turns out to be wrong and it's defamatory and it damages the reputation of the company, and they can prove serious harm or that it's likely to cause serious harm, there might well be a valid defamation case there. So I would just say be very careful what you do post on social media. You will notice that whenever I make statements on my videos here, I will always qualify it, I will always state that it's my opinion or it's based on fact, and I'll usually give you the opportunity to review the material yourself so you can go and make your decision as to what you think and what you believe. because if you don't agree with me, then there's no real likelihood that you're going to base your judgment on my opinions because I've given you the opportunity to review it yourself. But coming back to the point, you really should take notice of the signs at these car parks because they are getting quite zealous at protecting the car parking spaces because a lot of people are using them as a shopping space just to go in and buy something small and think that they can park there. Not saying that this chap did, I don't know whether he did or not, but a lot of people are parking there for 3 or 4 hours and just buying one meal or something small from the restaurant and thinking that they get free parking for that whole duration that they are there. That is not the case. There are rules in place and they will very often be right to issue the parking charge notice and to sue you in court for it. But they do have to sue you. So if you think you're right, you can appeal. But I would always suggest that you follow the appeal procedure properly and only if you really believe that you are within the rules and that you are not breaking those parking terms, unless of course they are so unreasonable that you think it will stand up in court. But of course for that you should take formal legal advice. So I hope that's useful, but before you leave, if I could ask you one small favour, I've been reviewing my statistics just recently and I noticed that around 60% of you that watch this channel, that is 60% of 3 to 5 million people every single month, are not subscribed to this channel. This is free legal guidance. I am committed here daily. I take lots of time out to film and to edit and to think of these videos, to come back to your comments and to follow up on your questions. So I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel and reduce that number that are unsubscribed watching my free content every single month. That really helps my channel grow. You've no idea how much that will help me and I will be eternally grateful. So thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for watching.